What this I can see in the bottom here is fighting for Brave. In the news lately with stuff with Mokaev. I know he's in the podcasting business. Always love talking to him. Bring him back for the first time in a long time. The tallest Shorty, Jose Torres. My man, how are you?
I got a big head and purple hair spikes up, so it helps out a lot. But
I know you look
everything as well. And dude, I'm just waiting for a fight. And you heard the whole Muhammad Mokaev call out. Like, it only makes sense. It only makes sense. I was the first ever 2-time IMAF world champ. He followed up in the junior division, and then he did well in Brave. I was a UFC veteran, and then he ended up dominating the UFC, and I ended up being the Brave bantamweight champion. Plus, I have a win over a guy who was higher ranked than Muhammad Mokaev. So, I mean, stylistically, if he wants to get back in the UFC, I think it's a smart fight to take, but it's also a scary one as well.
Speaking of getting back into the UFC, is that something that you are interested in? And what are your thoughts on him being released?
I mean, I definitely have some crazy thoughts on him being released because you got to think about it. He's 23 years old, 23, 24 years old. He's a kid with 1 million followers. He's a kid who's undefeated with, I think, 34, 35 straight wins. Like, in his head, again, and we're all older than he is, I believe, where at that time we all thought we were this. Like, our hopes and dreams are going to be that. We're going to do all these crazy things. And he has done it. So you think about all the power he has in his mind, like, dude, this kid is on top of the world. So yeah, he's gonna be a little reckless. Like, look at John Jones, look at Conor McGregor, and they're older and they're being reckless. Just imagine that same power at 23. So when the UFC is like, oh, we can't, he's allowed to handle this, that. It's like, I just think more it's an excuse because he's a flyweight compared to the popular weight classes like lightweight or even light heavyweight, stuff like that. But he's a kid, man. So you have to kind of expect that from a 23-year-old that has nothing but power. So I feel like, yeah, he probably might have gone too far here and there, but when it comes to too much to handle, dude, yeah, he had a little problem with my Manel Cape backstage, dude. Jocelyn Edwards and Eileen Perez fought at the UFC PI. Masvidal was punching random people after interviews. Nate Diaz just kind of does that for fun. So the fact is, you're gonna cut this kid for sucker punching some guy to possibly promote a fight. Whatever. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but also you got to think about, it, dude. He's undefeated, and you had to let him go when his contract ended because you can't cut him when he's winning. Like, logistically, you can contract wise, you can't cut him when he's winning. There's no reason. If he loses, even if it's just one loss and he has 20 billion fights in his contract, hey, he did perform his job. You can cut him, but for me, getting back in the UFC, I think the only time they would want me back is the flyweight division. Given I'm cutting down the flyweight anyways, just because I lost the bantamweight championship for Brave, it'd be cool to be a two-weight class champion like I was in Titan. Go back down to flyweight, hopefully win that, and then maybe move back up to bantamweight and be a simultaneous champ again like I did in Titan FC. But me, I just want to fight some of the best names, and since I'm not fighting for the belt at bantamweight anymore, might as well go down and see where it goes. And it just so happened Mokaev came in, and he's a brother. I treat him like a little brother too, and he's, he texts me before every fight, and it's when I want to fight someone, it's honorable. It's not like, oh, you suck, this, that. I want to use your name. I'm like, dude, you're a fun fight. Like, no offense to Brave, but no one knew Ilya Temporia, no one knew Muhammad Mokaev, no one knew Kazmat Chimaev until they left Brave. They were all phenomenal fighters still until they left Brave and made a name in the UFC. For me, my opponent that I lost to in Kostin Belly, he's a great fighter. Obviously, I lost to him, but no one knows him yet. Hopefully, later on, he makes the UFC or one or whatever the case may be and creates a name. But I need to fight name opponents. I'm 32. I want to create some type of legacy. I don't want to fight these fighters that are good. And again, I'm not putting them down. They just don't have a name. And Mokaev has that name. And since I'm not in the UFC, I can't fight a Sugar Sean O'Malley or a Marab or whoever the case may be. I want to fight some fun people. Hell, I have a win over Amir Albazi, and no one knew who he was when he was 11-0 when I fought him. But now he's ranked number 2 in the UFC, fighting Brandon Moreno next. It's like, oh my gosh, Amir Albazi, blah blah blah. It's like, oh well, he has one loss, and that's under Shorty Torres.
I love it.
You're talking about them releasing Mokaev because he's a flyweight not getting the recognition it deserves. Obviously the UFC went through a season where they were talking about cutting the division. Mm-hmm. I feel like that kind of timeline overlapped a little bit with your stint in the UFC. Do you feel like that had a lot to do with like them just not giving you that second opportunity? Like, what are your thoughts on where the
Fun.
division is going?
Fun fact, I was actually the very first person to get cut during that flyweight demise, and I, sadly, was the one that started it, because when I fought the same night DJ lost to Cejudo, we both ended up losing, and that was my first loss. That was his first loss as the champion. And DJ, being, I think, an 11-time title defender, he's like, I don't feel like winning it. I feel like I can get more money somewhere else. I don't have the respect that I want to, like the other champions at different weight classes. Again, DJ was the most dominant champion, not just at flyweight, but in UFC's history. But no one really knew that. No one really recognized that because he was a flyweight. There's not much promotion on the West for the small guys. And so he had the opportunity to go to ONE FC because his contract was up anyways. The contract clause was over since he lost. And even though Dana was talking smack about Ben Askren, was talking smack to DJ since he wouldn't fight TJ Dillashaw because he wanted to bump down, DJ had the rifle saying of like, hey, I don't want to fight him. I want to make sure he makes weight first, have him fight whoever. Number 2, I don't care, fight number 10. Just make sure he makes weight, and then I'll fight him after that. But they wanted to give TJ the immediate title shot for becoming another double weight class champion, since that was like the big thing at the time of Conor, DC, and all these different weight classes. DJ got traded for Ben Askren. Ben Askren, no offense to him, was way out of his prime. ONE FC was like, yeah, dude, we don't even want you anymore because it doesn't make sense for us. And so Dana was talking smack about Ben Askren, but still traded DJ for Ben Askren. And then obviously he had his little stint in UFC. But I looked at it this way, and I was making mental health videos, and I decided to kind of put out my little opinion of DJ being traded. I was like, we have the UFC's best champion in history, and DJ, 11-time, 12-time defending, however many times. But he was rarely ever a main event. I think he was twice a main event out of those 12 title fights. And you're going to trade him for a guy who's easily way out of his prime that you talk smack about? Dude, we don't have a Conor McGregor in the weight class. We don't have a Kobe Covington, a Masvidal, all these big name fighters. I think they're going to start cutting the weight class because it doesn't make sense. You look at Dustin Ortiz. I think he was a multiple-time UFC veteran, lost to Joseph Benavidez to get that title shot. Joseph Benavidez already fought twice for the title and lost, so they were going to give it to him again. And that was Dustin's last fight in the contract. And they go, hey, we'll give you your we can't give you your usual, but we'll keep you in the division, but we're going to start you back off at the UFC contract of maybe 10-10, 12-12, whatever the case may be. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to go sign for the promotion. So he signed for Brave, and again, rightfully so. But you look at, Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno, dude, he was just, a Mexican that, the dollar's way, worth more than the peso, and he's like, wait, you're gonna pay me a little less than what I'm making? Because at the time he's probably making 20-20. He's like, wait, I'm gonna start back at 10-10. Dude, I don't care. I'm in the UFC. I'll use it to get sponsorships, and good for him. He got sponsored by Legos and all that stuff. But he invested in the UFC and got the chance to be a champion, but sadly, again, not belittling him because he's a friend of mine, but he won it at the smallest weight class. They just needed exciting stuff. That's why they had him and Figueiredo fight 4 times, because they needed some type of excitement in the weight class. So I don't say they're going to cut the weight class again, but it's also still the smallest one, and not just saying weight-wise. Like, we don't have a roster like the lightweight division, the light heavyweight division, or all these bigger weight classes. So that's why you see Steve Urshett getting a fight over Muhammad Mokaev, when Muhammad Mokaev was, I think at the time, he was 7-0 in the UFC with 5 finishes, give or take. It's like, why did Steve Urshett get the title shot? Because Steve, his last fight, he ended up winning by a knockout against Matt Schnell. It's just exciting, something they can promote. He's fresh off a knockout. You look at the Japanese fighter who finished Alex Perez. They were already in talks, even though it was an injury default in the fight. They're like, oh, man, let's give him a title shot. It's like, but what? No, dude, sadly, it was injury. Like, he looked good, sure, but Alex Perez was winning, all this stuff. And because the Japanese fighter has a big name and won, because of the finish, they're like, we're going to give him the fight, given I think he has a fight against Brandon. I can't remember. There you go. He's fighting Brandon Royval. So I'm like, okay, cool. At least that one makes sense. And then whoever wins will hopefully get the title shot against, I can't remember the champion's name. There you go. I miss him. I love him. But, so we'll see what happens. But I'm not a fan of how the flyweight division is going. But me cutting back down the flyweight and winning gives me the opportunity to go, hey, it's a dying division. Let me revitalize it. Let me have some fun. And hopefully you give me the second chance. Because I put my name out there about that whole DJ video was the reason why I got cut. wasn't because I lost. It was because I got cut or because I talked bad about the company and got released. It wasn't bad. It was an assumption. I just so happened to be right. You can't fault me for, accidentally telling the truth.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're like, oh, maybe they're cutting the division. They're like, yep, you.
Yeah, no, I got really screwed because again, I had this great resume, all that stuff. But if I was any other weight class, especially obviously not a flyweight, dude, if I was any other weight class, I would have been paid respectfully, or if not, would have been called to the UFC a lot sooner. Now, when I got called to the UFC, I had already 10 calls. The only problem is, and I don't know if matchmakers just didn't listen to me or didn't care, but I had a broken hand, I had a torn MCL, and they're like, "So you want to fight next week?" I'm like, "Dude, I can't fight for like 4 months, or I can't like do anything for 4 months." I'm like, "Okay, well, how about when the fourth month starts?" I'm like, "No, I can't hit the bag until then." Like, dude, come on, like help me out here. So I received that last minute call against Jared Brooks. I'm like, fine, I'll take it because I kind of have no choice. And then I received the ultimatum to fight Alex Perez literally the next month. I fought my 2 fights were in 2 months, 9-day notice and a 20-day notice. And for people who know me, the reason why I bumped up the bantamweight, I cut 26 pounds to 28 pounds. So I lost 54 pounds in 2 months as a flyweight. I got red flagged the last fight. They canceled the fight and then brought me back on. They're like, "No, we fixed it." And obviously I lost, whatever. I wasn't there mentally right. And I was like, man, I wish I would have had a better opportunity, but I had the opportunity I was given and I didn't take full advantage of it. So for me, I'm just trying to fight whoever's there and put on the show, but hopefully it's named opponents.
I love it. Dude, and I know I don't want to rewind too much, Jose, but like you said something about Mokaev that I thought was such greatly said about like how he's so young, and sometimes all the time, like there's shelters, there's like boy and girl clubs. Like when you have a troubled teenager, it's not good to be like, hey, I'm kicking him out of the house on the street, because that's when bad shit can happen. You know what I mean? You almost have to hug him and cuddle him more, kind of a thing. And maybe it's one of these things like the UFC, it's like, you might need to hug Mokaev more, or they could have hugged him more and be like, okay, like I know you're a man, I know you can take care of yourself, but like they do it to Conor, like they cuddle Conor McGregor, so it's like they could have hugged him more. But I think it was greatly said about like they kind of just like kicked him out on his own, and it is what it is. But back, you had anything?
No, I mean honestly. Like, and I'm not like stating that he's being a drama queen, but dude, I was a drama queen when I was 33-0. Like, I get it. Like, dude, I thought I was amazing, So
you think your shit don't stink, yeah.
Yeah, that's just. But you're also a fighter that needs to believe you are the shit.
Right.
Like that's our sport. If I have any second guess, dude, I might lose. So, especially with him, literally 1 million followers. You have a whole country, if not countries, following you. You are undefeated. You're beating every ranked name. You're doing big things, and then you see Conor. You see all these fighters doing crazy stuff out there, not getting any consequences with it. Yeah, you know what? I think I could do it too. Let me dabble in it as well. So again, like we were all young ones where we all experimented. That was him experimenting, and obviously the consequence came into play, but there was no warning. Again, I don't know if there was warnings on the side to tell him to calm down and this, that, but from what I see is just, hey, don't do this. Oh, you won your fight, you're released because your contract's up. So it's I don't know. I think it's too harsh of a thing, but I also know that he's definitely learned his consequences and from his actions. But we'll see what happens next. But I know when the UFC makes their decision that they're pretty like, that's it. My foot is down. I don't think I'm gonna second guess myself.
I'm pretty sure. Didn't Mokaev say, or somebody said that like he like called and said he would fight for free if they would re-sign him or something like that? I don't know if that was confirmed.
No, he said that Dana didn't care. I mean, and that's how you know he's still young. Like, dude, you don't want to fight for free. Like, no, you don't want to fight for free. Like
and you don't want to say that you said you were going to fight for free. Either,
I mean,
you don't have a bargaining chip.
Yeah, and I mean, he has a family too. So, like, dude, you don't fight for free. Like, that's dumb. But the thing is, like, even Dana talked about it at the next press conference again for another fight. He's like, so I don't want that trouble. I don't care if you want to fight for free. I have a lot of guys that want to fight for free. That I can promote, and there's knockouts and this and that. Might not be the same skill or talent as fighters, but if I invest in them long enough, they might get to your skill level. So the fact is, he probably also is getting paid well, especially for the flyweight division. Maybe they don't want to pay him, because again, like I told you with the whole Dustin Ortiz thing, like Dustin was a veteran, multiple time fight veteran, obviously respectfully got paid, moved up the ranks, but when you have a dying division, do you want to waste that type of money? It's like that's kind of how the UFC saw it. And again, it's not I don't believe because I'm a fighter, so I'm biased that you're wasting money. I think we all should get paid more. But when you're in a division that's not being promoted and no one really cares about, given it's also partly the UFC's fault. I mean, hell, Joseph Benavidez and Sergio Pettis fought in the UFC fight past prelims way before the whole Fox and UFC deal for Sergio to get a title shot, but he lost. But that was in a UFC fight past prelims. Dude, you literally had the number 2 and number 3 guy fighting for a title shot, and you put him as the second fight of the night. Yeah, of course, no one's gonna watch it. Like no one, like the average fan doesn't have UFC Fight Pass.
They probably didn't even know about the fight.
Exactly. So, and then they're like, dude, when did this happen?
As strong. Like, there's just how are you going to promote that?
So that's the hard part. I mean, I think it takes 2 to tango. So there's always fault of both parties. Maybe sometimes more on some side, less on the other. But the fact is, like, it takes 2 to tango. So yeah, sometimes we might not be as exciting fighters, but I think, dude, we're fast, we're entertaining, we're explosive. You have some guys that are now starting to be knockout artists, and that's why they're promoting them more. But they're trying to almost make it like Combat Global, where they don't want any takedowns, even though it's MMA. They were like, dude, it's almost like a Greco or freestyle match. Like, you get a takedown, and we're gonna wait like maybe 10 seconds. Oh, nothing happened. All right, let's get back up and start a fight because they want to see. The average fan doesn't know jiu-jitsu. The average fan knows somebody getting hit and getting knocked out, and that's what they want to see. And that's something that they also had against Muhammad Mokaev because he was a high-level wrestler.
Jose, like I said, you and we've been talking for a long time. I remember talking to you in garages. I remember talking to you at American Top Team 5, 6, 7 years ago. I really love that. I've seen recently on your socials, your podcast and everything that you're doing. So please, tell our field and our audience and our people, our fans, whatever, about your podcast and everything you've been doing lately.
Oh man, I really hope it doesn't get canceled. We're already on episode 2. Lazy Boys episode comes out tomorrow, which is also a challenge on getting because he's only Spanish, so getting English subtitles and the other people's getting Spanish subtitles to follow his crowd because he has 500,000 followers. So you gotta entertain both. But man, it's become a lot of fun. I've always wanted to have my own show. I have 2 shows now. I have the Shorty Show with Luke Kelly, part of MMA Unhinged, and then I have the Shorty Podcast where I'm trying to be the next Joe Rogan, Theo Von, like kind of a mixture of that, just fun size with purple hair, and just have some fun where it's not just talking about fighting. I want to do the whole System of a Down thing where if you listen to music, it's random bullshit. The point, you kind of snuck in there back to random bullshit. Like that's fun. I want to have the sandwich theory.
Description of System of a Down music I've ever heard.
Like go listen to Cigarro. Like. I don't want to say the lyrics because it's very raunchy and they might get this video taken down, but it starts off saying by some crazy stuff. You're like, oh, that caught my attention. Even though I'm not into it, dude, it caught my attention. And then you're like, oh, okay, the point, political point, back to the random bullshit. Like, that's the fun part. So for me, dude, my first episode, I had Alex Perez on. For people who don't know, Alex Perez gave me my first knockout loss in the UFC and just loss in general in my career. All we did for most part of the episode was talk shit to each other. He's like, oh, but I knocked you out. I was like, yeah, it took you 103 punches, pillow hands. He goes, damn, they do call me pillow hands. But I got the job done. I was like, and we just kept on going, dude. It was a lot of stuff. And then we'd randomly sneak in the topic and then go back to hating each other. So it was a lot of fun. Lazy Boys was a lot of entertaining. We have one, literally, I don't know if I could really swear on here, but we have one shit story with Cameron Else where I'm pretty sure if it was during COVID times, that he could have gone to prison. Like he played pranks on people that you were just like we're listening to her. We're like, dude, I'm pretty sure if this was now, you'd be in jail. Like I'm pretty damn certain you'd be in jail. Like there were so many things that, and again, like I'm friends with everybody, so it ends up being locker room talk. Yeah. So like, okay, for example, I had a video that got taken down this weekend that was about Daniel Hoover, Lazy Boy, and all the fighters inside this house. I stay at the upper management house, which I call the Mexican house. It's literally everyone from Mexico. And there's 8 to 9 people here in a 3-bedroom place. Like my bed is on the floor. Like that's how many people are here. 3 bathrooms, all that stuff. But it's all dudes. And one of the questions was like, so my co-host just randomly jumped out. I don't know why he was so excited to ask this. He goes, so when and where do you masturbate in the house? And I was like, what? But I was like, oh, wait, actually, that's a good question because no one has the same schedule. It's not like we all leave the house same time and come back at the same time. Like, it's all very, like, right now, I think I'm by myself. I think that, dude, I could be flapping it somewhere right now. Somebody walks in, like,
This is prime time. Then you're missing it.
yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. See, talking about fight bananas. We'll be fighting my banana later. But the fact is, dude, I was like, they started talking. So, okay, they're going to get back to the point because my ADHD ass goes off on tangents. So, I guess one of the fighters, I won't say who, was decided to, like, oh, damn, I have the house to myself. Let me put on the whatever's on my phone on the TV because technology. Bigger screen, dude, that's pretty damn awesome. Anyways, so he's fucking going out of town, doing whatever. And then, some of the guys come in, obviously, when he's done. And they're like, dude, why you look so happy? He goes, oh, yeah, sorry. No, I just kind of finished myself off a little bit. And they're like, dude, we have cameras in the house. And so this house is almost like a reality show. We have cameras in the garage, in the living room, at the front door, outside at the garage. So they're like good professional cameras. Like, you ever see the home cameras, the doorbell ones? Like, they're but way, way better. You hear the audio, you see everything perfectly. Like, it's like us right now, the whole HD thing. And we're like, dude, we have cameras here. And then we ended up texting the manager, like, hey, can you look at the camera from this time and this day? And they ended up finding the film. So we had it stored somewhere. So if we want to blackmail someone, we're going to get you. Now, but it's just one of those things that, like, we're like, dude, so it ends up becoming a reality show. So anyways, we posted that, again, Locker Room Talk on my podcast. And we made a reel about it. And I guess it was a little too raunchy for Instagram. So it got taken down. But it had, I think in 24 hours, I think it had 30 to 40,000 views. It got shared 800 times, and I'm only on my second podcast episode. The only hard part, I would love some advice, David, for both of you actually, is how the hell do you get people to transfer from Instagram to YouTube? All they got to do is subscribe. Dude, help me monetize. All you got to do is this. But they just want to see the reel and they're like, all right, I saw the trailer of the movie. I'm good. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, just hop over, subscribe. That's it.
YouTube's hard. It requires more steps. Facebook, I feel like Facebook is easier and Instagram because it's one follow button. But YouTube requires more steps. It's like, oh, okay, I see the video. All right, I've watched the whole video. I like the video. It's like now you have to remember to go all the way to their profile and hit subscribe. Like it's just more steps and more time.
It's so fun. She's 100% right. And this is actually our second YouTube channel. Our first one was better. It got hacked. We lost it. It's sad. It is what it is. But dude, and I think you know this, like we talked about our Facebook channel, we have 463,000 followers. It's crazy. And it's like, I probably don't put it often enough. But it's like, here's our YouTube channel, guys. Just subscribe right here. That's all we have to do. You would think, if 1% does that, that's 4,600, like 1%. And they don't. It's very hard.
Are we only on YouTube today? We're only on YouTube. Are we only on YouTube today?
Yeah, we're trying to do that.
We're trying to people watch the YouTube.
We're
for sure.
Money through Meta now. Like we got a revenue stream through Meta. It's awesome, but now we're trying to create other revenue streams.
Dude, the crazy thing is, like, I'm a dude, so this is saying a lot. It's easier to get me to get followers on OnlyFans than it is on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's the same amount of steps. It's the same amount of steps, dude. The same amount of steps. Yeah, no, I have OnlyFans. I was being real there. But so if you want, subscribe, Jose Shorty Torres. But
is it an MMA OnlyFans or is it a OnlyFans?
It is. Wait, let me think about it. It is an MMA OnlyFans. It just so happens that I'm wearing MMA shorts most of the time. So, yeah.
So there's a little crossover.
When you don't have a fight for so much, like, again, this is my little rant complaint here. I fought in May, sadly lost. I was gonna fight in August. All right. For people who don't know, when you fight and this is your full-time job, that becomes your savings account. That's your budget. When you have no fight, you slowly start biting out of that savings account. August, no fight. I was in Mexico training. Then I came to Vegas. Oh, no fight. Okay. Oh, we're moving you to September, but no exact date. Okay, cool. I moved everything, paid coaches, traveled, all that stuff. And then they're like, oh, dude, sorry. Actually, we're going to fight you in December. That's 4 more months. So what is that? Let's see, May. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Plus, I fought May 5th, so that's a whole extra month. That's 8 months. Yeah, 8 months without pay. So for me, I'm gonna start showing some bananas on OnlyFans very, very soon. Cause fuck, like, dude, this is getting ridiculous. So
Much
yes,
banana
it's so
talk for me.
yeah. As long as you pay, dude, I'll show you pretty much about any 20. I'm not gay, but $20 is $20.
Hey, that you're in the right. You gotta get in the podcast business, dude. There is a ton of money in podcasting. If it's the content or sponsorships, there's so much in between. So there's a lot of stuff there for sure.
So hear me out. Hear me out. This is for the female in the room. Did you go to college?
Yeah.
How many times do you think about being a stripper because money was tight? Really?
0.
Oh, good for you.
I'm good.
Good for you. I'm glad you had a healthy, great childhood. But for most of me and my friends, or at least the women in my life, might just be my taste of women. But the women in my life that were in college were like, dude, college sucks. Like, it's so expensive to do everything. Like, I could just be a stripper and make so much money. And then as a guy, I'm like, yeah, dude, go be a stripper. Like, one, I would love to see you naked. But then two, like, it's so easy for women to make money because all you gotta do is strip. Or now, especially OnlyFans, the only problem is there goes your morals. You're throwing that right out the window, and you're like, I don't know if I want to do it. This, that. I used to talk smack. I'm like, dude, it's easy. Just go show a titty. Like, you'll be fine. Like, you make $20, dude. That's great.
At
but
least
now,
in a strip club, you're limited to a small community that knows you're a stripper. OnlyFans, it's like the internet is forever, guys.
Yeah,
which is
and
part of the
it's
reason
releasing.
I'm very like.
But hear me out.
Anti that, but I'm a little anti that.
The reason why I'm saying that is because I used to make fun of the women. Like, dude, it's not that hard. Just flop. There you go. You made some money, and then there's gonna be a bunch of guys, especially OnlyFans. You're gonna make so much more money. Now I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to show that stuff. And I'm like, oh, damn it. I feel like the women I used to make fun of that I'm like, oh, you should just go do it. Now I'm like contemplating life. I'm like, oh, dude, I got my own foundation. I sponsor people. Like, I don't want to do that. My freaking bananas flying around everywhere, So yeah, I don't know. So, it's life. So that's my struggle right now of trying to find a fight. So Brave, dude, find me a fight. I don't care if it's Mokaev. I don't care if it's
you and Mokaev. That's the fight to make.
See, I highly doubt he's going to take it. Now, see, it's the fight to make. Is he going to take it respectfully? I don't believe so. Like, it doesn't make sense. Him and I have already talked, and he didn't acknowledge. Like, he goes, oh, yeah, it sounds like a smart fight, or it sounds like a reasonable fight to take. But he never said yes or no. So I'm like, fuck. So for me, I don't care who I fight. Like, I'm at the point in my career where I almost feel like a journeyman, where I have the resume, but I'm like, dude, no one wants to fight me? How the hell does no one want to fight me? Like, especially I'm being the only American in Brave. Like, if you beat me, it looks good in your resume. I don't see why, because I have a name. So I don't see why not. And I have purple hair. Like, who doesn't want to punch a guy with purple hair? So, have you ever seen Despicable Me too? Dude, it's fucking phenomenal. But the thing is, like, I just want to fight and I need some money. Like, I'm in the process of possibly selling my car because I need some money, So my banana is gonna be flaunting and everything. So when you see some raunchy stuff on me, I'm like,
just remember,
you just put out this podcast.
Not gay, but $20. He will take $20.
Dude, I'll do some raunchy stuff for $20. Like, but I gotta charge inflation now. So it was like $30. Dude, I'll do some fucked up shit. So excuse my language, excuse my French.
Oh my goodness. This is by far our least family friendly show in a while.
A lot of banana talk. Jose, plug your podcast. Where can they find you? What's your YouTube channel?
So the YouTube channel is the Shorty Podcast, or the Shorty Show Podcast. The Instagram, the Shorty Show Pod. Mine, Jose Shorty Torres, and I appreciate all the love, support. That's all we always say. We can, we will. Together we are Team Shorty. So if you help sponsor me on OnlyFans, oh gosh, it would be great. I can keep my car, and man, I just appreciate love, support. I hope to do the show again. I'm sorry that it might get taken down. And sorry for all the families, and hopefully no children are watching this. And yeah, it was a great adventure. Now I got to go choke out lazy, so it'll be a fun time and possibly choke. Anyways, I'm not even gonna finish that sentence.
Jose, man, great catching up with you, brother. Talk soon, all right? Definitely keep in touch, all right, brother?
Nice to meet you.
Okay, guys.
Jose Shorty Torres. There we go. That was awesome.